Hello, YouTube world. Yeah. Um, Letting go of unwanted energies. So we might experience unwanted energies in our field in the form of like an entity, or maybe we're feeling someone else's stuff and we don't want to be feeling their stuff. It could be collective things. Maybe you got home from the grocery store and now you're feeling all this racy, frenetic energy and you're feeling like you took on stuff from that environment. The thing we don't want to do, no matter what the energy is, that we're feeling like it just isn't ours and we don't want it to be in our field, the thing we don't want to do is fight with it. Because when we fight with it, first of all, it zaps our power. We're in a clench. We're like, it's not a state of energetic power. But second of all, like we strengthen it. Because we are reaffirming its existence in a sense. And we're kind of creating this narrative in our being like, I have to fight with this because I'm not just strong enough to just allow it, to just let it flow through. So we're actually, when we're in a fight with it, we're actually kind of involved with it in our consciousness in a way that's, it feels powerless. It just feels powerless to fight with something. It's like fighting with what is, and you'll notice it's the personality that's fighting with it. It's the mind, it's the separate self. Your true essence is never fighting with anything. And so the more you can actually merge with your true essence when there's something unwanted in your field, the more power you're going to have and the less affected you're going to feel by whatever it is, the entity, the karmic thing with someone else, the collective energy. But if you're in the separate self and your energy and focus is really invested in the separate self and the personality that's being really negatively impacted by this energy, then it's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel really challenging because you're not in your power in that moment. You're giving your power to the mind. You're giving your power to that thing that's come into your field that's difficult, that's you feel like it isn't yours and you don't want it there. It's like when you get in a fight with it, you're actually giving into it in a way. It can feel opposite than that. Now, that's not to say this is a nuanced teaching. So I hope you can stay with the nuance here of this point. That's not to say if something comes into your field that you don't want, if it triggers anger, well, you're allowing it, like allow the anger to flow. That's not fighting the thing. That's just you're feeling anger about it. And so that's authentic. And so that's allowing. And sometimes things just come into our field to help us get in touch with our anger. And like, that's the whole point sometimes. And so you can be angry. That's not fighting is more resistance. So if the thing comes and you're just resisting it, like that's what I'm talking about, fighting it. Now, if that thing comes in and boom, you feel this surge of rage come from your belly, you be with the rage. You feel the rage. That's not fighting, that's not resistance, actually. Sometimes things can come into our field and we'll feel rage and then we'll even resist the rage. It's like that's not what we want to do either. So that's the first thing to note about this phenomena of something coming in that's not yours, that's unwanted, is we don't want to fight it, because that's going to make it even seem bigger than it is, and it's going to kind of we're not going to be in our power. It's just going to feel, we're just going to go in circles with it. Sometimes We have to fight things for months. Have you noticed that? Have you ever fought something for months? And then eventually the fighter in you, and sometimes these things come in just to break down the separate self that fights, the personality that fights. Sometimes that's the point of heaviness that we feel like isn't ours, or collective heaviness, or something we took on that's just draining us. It just breaks down the fighter, the separate self, and it actually dissolves us into our power. And then it's like once the separate self falls away, once that part in us that wants to fight what is falls away, then typically the thing that was bothering us so much also falls away, because it can only stick to us kind of where we're in resistance to it. Anything that comes into your reality, whether we like to admit it or not, is an energetic match to the geometry of your field in some way. So it's actually trying to show you any darkness that comes in or unwanted energy that comes in. I don't care what we're labeling it. It's just trying to show you where you still have, that kind of energy in your own field, where there's unresolved, unintegrated places in your own field that you maybe still have shame here and some terror over here, and you don't know it, but then the darkness comes in, and it can only stick to where you have those places, those little pockets of energy. Maybe it's a lot in your heart or your gut. We carry a lot of unworthiness in the heart, a lot of terror in the gut. So you might feel like an unwanted energy clenching onto you somewhere, but it's only clenching onto you where it's a vibrational match. If you didn't have that terror like in your gut or your heart center, that unresolved terror, it couldn't get in and clench. It would just either bounce off because your field would be more fortified, or when it came in, if you were resolved there, if you were integrated there, you wouldn't resist it, and it couldn't grab. It can only grab where we're in resistance. It can only grab where we have unresolved energies. So if you're, like, say you were a perfectly, totally enlightened being, totally integrated, you might feel stuff come through, but it can't grab on. What is it going to grab to? There's no separate self, you know what I mean? There's no separate self energies of resistance for it to grab onto. So anything that comes in that's unwanted, it's just showing you where you're still in resistance to certain energies. Because if you weren't in resistance to this energy coming in, it couldn't stay. Got a little bit of grace, little grace, trickling in when I said that. So it's showing you what you're in resistance to. Are you in resistance to shame, rage, terror, loneliness, hatred? The big ones are probably going to be terror and like depression energies, like heaviness and grief. So you are an energetic match for your experience at all times. The universe never lies. The geometry of the universe is absolutely perfect. And that can be almost uncomfortable to admit to ourselves, like, oh man, I'm a match to this? But it's an empowering perspective too, though, because it gives the power back to us. We're not a victim of anything on this earth plane. We're not a victim of this energy coming in. This energy coming in is trying to grow us, teach us, and expand us. It's helping us to release the energies that we've been hanging on to in our own field. So you'll notice as you stay in your power of allowing, and you don't fight with this energy, whatever you're labeling it, and you just allow it, and you allow it to bring up whatever it brings up in your body. You'll notice yourself getting more kind of rooted in what you really are. And what you really are can allow for anything. And what you really are doesn't get pulled and sucked into anything. It's like when things come into our field that are really heavy, sometimes another way we'll fight with it is we'll get lost in thoughts about it. Oh, I wish this wasn't happening. I hate this. Why is this happening? This sucks. And the why is this happening is a good inquiry. And just know, okay, it's probably happening because it's trying to show me something about myself. It's trying to help me liberate from certain denser energies that I've been hanging on to. It's trying to show me where I'm still in resistance to life. But that's another way to give the power to, or to kind of feel like you're like giving your power away, is to go into thoughts about it a lot. And as you notice, if you don't do that, and you don't fight with it, and you just allow it to be there as it is, and you don't make it a problem, because to your true essence, nothing's a problem. You might notice it there's still a gripping phenomena to it, or it might not leave right away, but you'll notice more of yourself abiding in who you really are. And then you'll see the thing for what it is. And then you'll notice yourself letting go of it, letting go. And you'll notice you'll get to a certain point of letting go, and it'll be really, you might feel a big energy of terror coming up, and then you'll even you'll resist that terror. Because there's a part of us that doesn't want to let go of these heavier energies. It takes a great act of courage to let go and let go and let go and let go. Because we're letting go of ourself in a sense, or who we thought we were. But as we let go of that layer of self, that layer of terror, that layer of who we thought we were, the unwanted energy tends to go with it, because it was only grabbing on, like I said, to the separate self aspect of us that was in a fight with life, to the part of us that was rooted in lack and scarcity. It can only grab on to the lower vibrational aspects of ourself, or a nicer way to say that is the more wounded aspects of ourself. Still very innocent. So it takes a great act of courage actually to let go. And that's why things will hang around so long, as they hang around as long as they need to. Like an unwanted energy will hang around as long as it needs to for us to finally let go of what it's trying to help us let go of. These are all, whatever the energy that comes in, this is all a landscape of the divine. And everything is an orchestration and an act of the divine. And there's some more grace tingles coming in when I say that. Anything that is happening is just trying to help you liberate and expand and become more free. And to see through delusion. To see through places you were identified with in your energy being, in your energy field, that are just not true, that are false, like rooted in lack, scarcity, fear, separation. And this is the other thing. Can you become, when you actually start allowing everything as it is, you start becoming one with everything. And when there's oneness, there's just God. There's just peace. There's just love. There's just joy. There's just light. Even you can have oneness even within a heavy sensation or a heavy energy, and that oneness actually dissolves anything that's, we could say, impure, or anything that's separate from love. And so maybe it's even your job to bring something into oneness. Maybe something comes in, you feel like a foreign energy, but it's just a past life. It's from a past life incarnation that you're healing in this life. This was the case with someone I was making a video for the other, I don't know how long ago, some days ago. And you're dissolving it while at the same time it's helping you to release heavier energies in your body. It's helping to illuminate to where you're in resistance to life, where you're not totally surrendered to what is. So it can be both things, It can be like some kind of past life contract. You're dissolving it in this life because you knew you'd have the power and the space to do it, but also you wanted it to come in for this life because you knew it would deepen you. You knew it would help you surrender deeper into what you really are. And that's all darkness is ever doing, or anything that comes in that feels like darkness. It's just showing us where we are still in separation from life, from truth. And so let's not be a victim, even though it can feel like that at times, especially when it first comes in and we're overwhelmed, and because we're so identified with where it's sticking to us. We don't even have the space to see what it's trying to help us with. But yeah, let's not give our power away to this stuff by fighting it. Let's let it deepen us into this space of allowing that's all powerful. Because once you actually deepen into this place that can allow for everything, like I said, these things that come, they just flow through. And I've been on the path a long time, so it takes quite a lot for something to stick these days. But life does meet you where you're at, and life is always just trying to deepen you and expand you. So I still get challenged all the time by life. Darkness comes in to show me, hey, you're still in separation here. This is where you still fight. You still give your power away here. Still got some shame over here in your field. Still got some unprocessed terror over here, buddy. A lot more grace there. But the difference is, sometimes, if you're lucky, you're quicker to take more of an empowered perspective about it, rather than just dwelling in the victim place. But sometimes, you will get caught in the victim mentality. But that's its own teaching too, and that's fine. It's not a judgment. It's just like, we want to approach these things in our power, and see how they're serving us, and see how they're growing us and expanding us. That's like the way forward. That's the most helpful. But that feels pretty complete. What do you guys think? All right. If you've got questions, let me know. Book a session if you want. Join the Patreon. Lots of good content over there. Had some good feedback on yesterday's video too. It's all about why Kundalini energy is pure bliss and love. That's what it is. But it can feel downright brutal at times. So I made a video explaining why that is. Let's just feel complete. Yeah, I think it's just complete. Sometimes a video is just never going to feel complete enough, but we just do the best we can. All right. Love you all. Namaste.